Hello, hello, friends.
Hello, I'm so happy to talk to you, my friend. How are you doing?
It has been a nonstop busy day, but I just shifted out of my daytime work clothes into my evening around the house work clothes, and I'm feeling great and so excited to sit down and talk to you today.
Nice. Friend, how are you doing? Oops, sorry, I had some echo. I love the feeling of changing your clothes and getting cozy and shifting gears after working and kind of you know, taking it easy. So I'm happy for you. I'm in the same vibe. This is our second time doing our evening space instead of during the day. So it's definitely a different energy, but I'm super excited to talk about collabs today.
I am as well. I am loving the vibe of the evening. It's taken me a minute to remember we're doing it in the evenings. I I was like, "Oh, sure I can do that on a Wednesday night" recently and realized, "No, wait a minute. No, I cannot do that. I'll do that on Thursday night instead." But yes, collabs, I mean, what a perfect conversation for the two of us. I feel like, remind me, I don't remember when you blooped into the Twitter space, as I like to say it, but I feel like it was really similar times for both of us. And I feel like we've been collabing in one way or another in this space for the whole time. And so I love that we're finally having this conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk more about it. It's been about a year now in NFTs and Web3, and it feels like longer. I don't know, it's weird. It feels like longer and it feels like shorter, but it's been just about a year.
Sorry, I was just sending off a couple more DMs to tweet out the space, and you are just probably a month ahead of me. It was well, you know what? I guess, yeah, the end of October, beginning of November. I guess that's where we almost are. So, congrats on 1 year, and that's really cool that we just naturally gravitated towards the same spaces. And I'm sure you know, we both have probably learned a lot in that year about what a mindful collaboration looks like and what sometimes an excited emotional collaboration could look like. And yeah, I don't know where you want to dig in with sharing of our experiences. um, do we start with the good news or the bad news? What does good collaboration look like?
I love that you said that because I do want to talk about red flags and like green flags. And I feel like it's important to talk about both. But I feel like first we should talk about like why do we collaborate as business owners and just like as people in general, why do we come together? And to me, a collab is kind of about unifying so the best parts of each party can shine and make something even better. And it's definitely something that's requires a mutual investment on both sides. And there's so many different types of collaborations. A relationship is a collaboration. A student teacher connection is a collaboration. Both parties have to show up and add value. So when I think about a collab, I think what particularly comes to mind is this quote that I heard that basically says nothing important was ever achieved by one person acting on their own. And it's basically saying like in order for something great to happen, like one is too small. Like you need a group, you need a team, you need other people to help you do a better job. So, Abby, what do you feel in terms of like why we collaborate as people and business owners?
You really hit the nail on the head in all those areas. I would echo all the things you said. Collaboration is relationship. And I think in Web 2 land, people might there sometimes is a tendency to draw away from. There tends to be and maybe that's just been my own experience as a small business owner. I guess I was in a collab, but with one partner who wasn't always open to bigger collabs. There tends to be this, no, this is mine, that's yours, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. Part of what I love about coming to Web3 is the collaborative efforts that go on here. And I will say, I have found sisterhood over the years, and I think sisterhood relationships tend towards collaboration. So I've enjoyed it in that aspect. But you're right, all relationships really ultimately, if you take a step back and look, is a collaboration. We really can amplify our efforts, go farther, gain new perspective, and really just have such a more beneficial exchange of energy, as I said, to really amplify those efforts towards any goal, any project, anything you're working on together. I really think it can go so many ways too, right? So many good intentions, I'm sure we've all learned from our experiences. But no matter what, don't shy away from the idea of it. I think sometimes if we're maybe lean towards type A or very independent people, maybe we didn't naturally start out thinking, oh yeah, I really want to be a team player. But sometimes we think, nope, I've got that. Thank you so much. And hyper independence is great. It's good to be. I probably have leaned towards that energy more times than I'd like to admit. And there's this fear, right, and anxiety of handing things over. But gosh, what a beautiful exchange of energy happens when we do let that guard down and when we do trust someone and lean into that and share ideas. This exchange, as you said, there has to be equal investment, and that can look like a lot of different things, right? I don't know, what are your thoughts as I'm talking on these points?
As you were talking, I was scanning the room and I was just smiling because there are several people here I've collaborated with, and I agree with everything you've said. And I just think it's amazing to see several former collaborations kind of all come together and think about everything in full circle. Um, Abby, I know you and I both have done so many different collaborations, not only with our NFT collections and brands, but also previous to NFTs, just being small business owners looking to kind of get the word out there about our business and our brand, work with like minded people. What are some things? Let's talk about like some things that are important to consider when collaborating. Like, what are things to kind of think about going into the collaboration? Something I like to always ask myself is like, does this other person's offering or business mission or ethos align with mine? Like for example, like obviously a gym is like not going to partner with Dairy Queen. Or like, a vegan restaurant is not going to partner with like Purdue or Tyson. It's like Abby and I having this mindful business, Twitter Spaces is like a perfect partnership because of her experience, having so many years as a yogi and a breath work and stress management practitioner. It aligns with my experience as someone who's kind of just starting my own journey as a yogi and someone who's had a metaphysical store a few years. And like we have some nice yin and yang factors that kind of make it a good balance. For example, Abby is a little older than me and she has some teenage children, and I'm a millennial with no kids. So it works out. So that's always something I try to ask myself is like, is there alignment? Like, is there a natural alignment? What are some things that you consider, Abby, when you're going into a collaboration?
I think really similarly, another way of saying really a similar thing that you're saying is, our core values. We may not have the exact same project or same product. And as you said, it's sometimes nice when we don't have the exact same thing, but rather complementary things. But at the core are the values that we share as a business project, what have you. Do those align? And I think that's something that's good to go into it with. I would say early on in IRL, brick and mortar business ownership, sometimes, I've learned some lessons the hard way and maybe didn't always go for that. It was more, emotional based, excitement based. I think when we come to business with a fear of scarcity before we've really done some good, inner work about intention and your why, you can kind of come from this place of fear and you'll like agree to things that maybe don't even feel right with aligning right with that gut feeling. Once upon a time I didn't always go with that. I think that's something too, core values, but also just that gut feeling of like, yes, this is going to be a good fit for both of us. I think it's good to for each party coming into it to really have a little exchange before making big agreements so that you can just feel each other out and feel like, does it at the end of the day, will this really resonate with each other? Is this a good fit for you and for me? Yeah.
I love that you mentioned a gut feeling. I feel like that gut feeling is kind of a critical part of the vetting process as you're like screening potential partners. And for me, it's just kind of like a vibe check. Like, it's just like, I do recognize that not everyone has gut feelings or is super in touch with their intuition, but for me, I am, and step one is a vibe check, and it's just like, okay, are we vibing? Like, are we naturally connecting? Like, someone you're collaborating with, it should not be something that's like forced and inauthentic. Like, I see Astro Baby is here, and like I remember when I had my Zoom or Google Meet, whatever it is, when we did our collab, like we just had such a beautiful connection. Like I could have stayed on that call with her another hour, just chatting and laughing and having a great conversation. And it's like, not that you being best friends with your collaborator is not a prerequisite, but there should be some baseline of connection. And I also think it's worth asking, what is this other person's track record? Have they successfully collaborated with other businesses before? And if they haven't, is there something that they've done or shown me to prove that like this has a good chance of working out? Am I taking a risk by being the first collab with this new business? I think it's important to think about how it's mutually beneficial, but obviously not to get so into the weeds where you kind of just lose sight of like, is there a connection? Because we'll get more into like inauthentic collaborations, but if the sole goal is to benefit you and there's no like real connection or authentic want to be together, it kind of like creates this shallow empty collaboration that I feel is very like visible to people who see it, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. You can smell inauthenticity a mile away, especially in this space. And so I think you're absolutely right. The vibe check is the best way to put that, and taking the time to just yeah, make sure to do your own research, right? Do your own research. Feel like you're comfortable putting your name on a thing, and they're comfortable putting their name on your thing, obviously. And yeah, I think that's the goal. Where you said, do you just want to get into the inauthentic conversation, or where do you want to go next?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, let's get into like personal thoughts on collaborations. Like, because I mean, I've probably done over 60 collaborations for Good Juju in the last 4 years with so many different types of creators, other small businesses, energy healers, jewelry makers, NFT collections. This year, we did a collaboration with a book publisher, which was like our first of that kind. It was actually amazing and really cool. Um, so I don't know. I feel like why don't we get into some of our own personal experiences, because I know that we've both recently have had really great collaborations and really bad ones. Like for example, right now during the month of October, we have a month long collaboration with Mystic Sisterhood, which is, yes, this is what our PFP is. This is why we're rocking our sister right now. It's actually our second collaboration with them, so obviously it's working well, and they have been an absolute pleasure. Like we can talk more about red flags and green flags, but like only green flags from Bex and Lisa. And that being said, like it's been fantastic, but like I've also had like some really funky experiences lately, like where I just sent you a voice recording, I think it was yesterday, of someone who just ghosted me and flaked on me, who like booked me for booked me for like a collaboration, and then like when it came time for the day to execute, like they just completely like were gone, like did not show up, like no answers to any of my messages. Like it was just like they ghosted me. And it was just so crazy and unprofessional and uncomfortable and just made me feel so crappy. And it's just like, yes, please. I'm eager to hear some of your recent experiences, Abby.
Well, first of all, I have to shout out Mystic Sisterhood as well as being a top notch. I mean, wonderful. And whether it's a small exchange or on a larger scale, working with them has been amazing, and really so professional in the way they do things. I've picked up some nice tips, honestly, from working with them, and honestly working with you as well. Sierra, you have a really beautiful, organized approach, and it's been really helpful to me. So I appreciate that. And I have to say I've had really wonderful experiences. Mostly, my most recent, obviously, is the wonderful Miss Wynn coming on as community manager for my project Elevate. That's been the best, most wonderful collaboration. We really do have a lot of similarities and similar vibe and energy, and yet very different strengths. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to lean in, to trust someone so much, to really depend on them so much. And it's a beautiful feeling, and I think that's what collaboration is all about, right? This exchange of energy, and that comes in a lot of forms. Some things that I looking back, maybe early on in my early building phase of project, that maybe I look back and think, gosh, I would have done that differently, rather than saying, okay, negative experience, more so learning experiences, right? Like all of our time here is tuition, really. I keep reminding myself in many ways, as we learn these skill sets to move forward into the future, that we're all building together. I do look back and think, I wish I would have trusted my gut more in certain situations. I have had different teammates along the way. My business partner that I had for a little while left, and there were times that, yeah, I don't like the pump and dump stuff, right? The really huge accounts where you get a bunch of followers and they don't have any following, and it's exciting for a minute, but it's really just fake. It's just fake numbers. And then after whatever drawing or whatever, then they all just go away. And so that I wish I would have listened to my gut and not done one of those. So that felt cool, and then felt really bad to lose like hundreds of followers. And all along I said I wouldn't do those, but I let myself get talked into one. But other than that, mostly really positive experiences. I think just taking your time and not letting your emotions get the best of you, and letting your excitement get the best of you. Get excited and then have some conversations, and have just like a business plan, only on a really small scale. Like, think of reasons why maybe you shouldn't do it, and if you can answer all of those, right, then move forward with why, embracing the yes to all of it. I don't know, what do you think of all that?
Pump and dump. Oh my goodness. I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, I've definitely had some like shallow, short sighted collaborations as well. I've had several collaborations that just were not super productive or were really difficult to coordinate. Oh, goodness. I'm like, I feel stress inside of me just thinking about it. But I feel like I've learned from those experiences, and that's why we're here having this Twitter space today. And it's like now I've grown to a point where I'm able to turn down or sometimes just completely disregard collaborations that don't feel right for any reason. And something to ask yourself as well, it's like obviously there has to be a mutually beneficial aspect of a collaboration, but if you feel like the other person is truly just looking to benefit from being connected to your audience, like I said, this is a natural aspect of collabs, but if this is the only reason that there's any interest is that this other person wants to get in front of your audience and try and upsell them on something, whether it's a service or a product, it's like no. Because and I just say that because it's like as a small business owner, it's like you're the gatekeeper of like what your audience gets to see. And like as someone who's been creating content for my audience for 4 years, I take it super serious. And it's like if I'm going to put something in front of 12,000 people who choose to follow this account, like I want to be mindful that it's not something that's just looking to suck them of their energy and life, like which is why we've become super intentional about creating like educational content and like just content beyond like I'm selling a product, like content that is helpful and you can learn something. So it's like I really do feel like it's important to think like, okay, is this person going to damage my audience's experience with my brand? What do you think about that, Abby?
No, I think that's such a huge aspect. I mean, that's part of your why. That's our driving force is the community that we've worked hard to build these meaningful those are where the meaningful connections are, right? And since we've taken the time to build those meaningful connections, we want to build meaningful collaborations that are only going to enhance or yeah, help that grow and bring the best energy and be uplifting and elevating to the things that we've worked so hard and tirelessly to build. So I'm definitely with you on all of the above. 100%. You've had some amazing. I want to hear about some of the things you've done in the last year. You've had some really amazing collaborations. We've been honored to collaborate with you, but you had some pretty big names in the past year. I really want you to take a little spotlight for a minute and tell us a lot more about some of those experiences in the last year in the NFT space.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. I am happy to. Yeah, collaborations have been a huge part of our Web3 NFT journey. And I'm like, just the other day, I put together this little infographic to put on our website. And hi, Miss Jana. I see Jana is here, and I put Peace Inside Live on that infographic. And I was just thinking about it, and I was like, goodness gracious, wow, like I can't believe it doesn't feel like this many things have happened in the last year. So as you know, I've collaborated with you, Abby, and Elevate. We put together some physical real life crystals for NFT NYC, which was amazing. And we've collaborated in so many other ways together, crystal giveaways and all types of things. I collaborated with Astro Baby recently, who's also in the room. We created these super cute crystal babies that were airdropped to both of our holders and had a crystal metaverse party, which was so fun and was kind of an onboarding experience for some of my Web 2 customers who were interested in joining us. So that was so much fun. Mystic Sisterhood this month is our second collab. We also collab for NFT NYC. We put together physical crystals for them to give away at their picnic that they had at Central Park. Peace Inside Live, we collaborate every Monday for their, I hope I say this right, mega mindful Monday moment space. We're one of the regular participants in that amazing space. I love it so much. It's every Monday afternoon. Uh, oh my goodness. My BFF, we collaborated with My BFF and they ended up giving away crystal bundles to holders of their U collection that had a specific trait. It was the galaxy background trait. So that was really cool. And then I pinned in this space where we're actively now collaborating with Unstoppable to offer free NFT domains to our community, which we're really, really excited about. And we've created some educational content to explain to people how you can use an NFT domain as well. There honestly there are others, but I do not. I could probably spend the duration of this space talking about collaborations I've done. So I'm gonna wrap it up. But I really appreciate you asking, and I encourage anyone who's curious to learn more about like the Good Juju Web3 collabs to go check out our website because all of this is detailed on the NFT page on our website.
Girl, you are amazing. And I mean, you work so hard. So it's really awesome to see all of your hard work come to fruition in these really meaningful collaborations. And it's so exciting to see. Congratulations on the Unstoppable Domains. That is outstanding. And you can go on and on as you're listening, as you're speaking. I'm reminding myself of collabs that I hadn't thought of as well. And there's just so many wonderful opportunities for connection here. It's been really cool to work with people in so many different ways. I don't always think about the recurring spaces as a collab, but you're right that that is a collab. And Miss Wynn has been so intentional about this cross pollination of communities, as well as Jana. Jana Stern has been, really building this collective of all of us that are in these different pockets of spiritually minded, metaphysical minded communities, these little sub communities that are kind of scattered all over Web3 come through these connections. And so it's really been such a beautiful honor to collaborate with Jana in so many ways. She offers a discount to our holders, which is amazing and underutilized. And of course, the Peace Inside Live, I've really enjoyed being a part of, and I'm so fortunate that Miss Wynn is able to be there in my absence, since I can't be there during the day these days. Galactic Gang has been a wonderful community that we've collaborated with in different ways and intend to continue to grow that connection. That whole community is so supportive to our community and so just outstanding. Crypto Maury's, thanks to Miss Wynn, we've really had some nice connection and collaboration there, and I really hope to expand on that as well. And similar to you, when you really start going down the rabbit hole, it's beautiful to think about all these connections that have built up over the last year that I really want to continue to foster and grow. We've provided yoga and meditation for some different communities. It's been fun to work with. I honestly would need to really look into and write down a list. I think it's great that you created an infographic. You're inspiring me to do the same thing so we can really acknowledge the people who have had us for you name it, whether it's Discord or Twitter Spaces. It's been a fun year, and this has really been a cool conversation to kind of look back. I hadn't meant for it to go in that direction, but that's it feels like a little just look back over the last year, and it's really making me smile.
I want to make like a little scrapbook. It's so interesting. I feel like I've spent more time with my Web3 for friends virtually over the last year than I have with probably anyone in real life other than my husband, who I live with, and my dog. So it's kind of amazing because it's like there are so many people I've yet to meet in real life that I feel so close and connected to. And I know when we finally do meet in real life, it's going to be like fireworks. It's going to be so exciting and amazing to meet everyone. Something else that comes to mind in terms of collaborations is just like the importance. We've had so many spaces about like setting boundaries and communicating assertively and things of that nature. But I do feel like it's so important when you sit down to collaborate that you're clear about who's contributing what and when. Because when I think about the collaborations that have been successful and really stand out in this last year, it's like, whoa, that's one to remember. It's like it was the little things like, making a shared organizational document or whatever, a scope, depending on the nature of the collaboration, that like really clarified things and brought stuff together. And also, it just kind of helps get on the same page in terms of what your expected outcome is and how you can really structure the collab to support whatever your expected outcome is. Because sometimes I think we can also go into collaborations with unrealistic expectations because we're not fully considering how our audience will receive the collaboration. And we're not necessarily creating content to appropriately share the collaboration. So I think these aspects of kind of pre-planning and like really organizing and aligning are super important.
I think those are wonderful goals to shoot for. And I think those are definitely good considerations. And yes, as much as possible, all those things should be considered as well. Like we talked about earlier, almost like mini business planning, right? Clear communication in one form or another. I do think shared Google Doc is a beautiful way to do things that you can communicate back and forth. And just, as my issue, especially lately, has been time management. I'll have to go revisit our recent episode on time management and revisit some of my own advice as I adjust to new schedules. Yes, all of those things are absolutely important. And things that I know you nail flawlessly, my friend Sierra. You're always inspiring me. And yes, I'm with Miss Win here in the audience. I know I'm over here hiding, thinking I got to do better.
Oh no, you have a lot of big changes happening in your life, and I feel like you need to give yourself some grace to like move through the changes, and like everything will get back on track. You just kind of have to get in your new flow and rhythm. So it's all good. You are an inspiration as well. Like sometimes I need the chill pill that like you haven't taken but you're feeling the effects of. Like that's what I need. So I do truly feel like we balance each other out and we inspire each other in different ways, and it works. So we talked about so many green flags, Abby. I want to talk about some like red flags. Like what are signs like as you're considering entering a collab or a partnership that are just like, okay, maybe I should not proceed here, or maybe I should proceed with caution. One that I tweeted about earlier on my personal account was like people not being considerate of my time and energy. And like that experience recently of being ghosted was like so triggering for me because I was like, dude, I set aside this time. Like I blocked out this hour for you and you disregarded it, and like I could have done something else with this hour, and it like really it bothered me. So that for me was like a huge red flag because it was like, okay, even if this person does come back around, it's like this is the first impression they've made, and it says a lot about you know how much my time means to them, so I need to kind of operate accordingly. What do you think, Abby? Like what are some signs, or just you mentioned a gut feeling, like what are some different things that you pick up on that just make you feel like, okay, maybe not?
Well, I agree with what you said, first of all, but also as you were speaking, it reminded me of a situation that where my gut feeling was right on in the beginning, and it made me feel uneasy. And I'll kind of explain. Someone had kind of come into the NFT scene. I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 months after me with a real similar project and befriended me right away. Very small following, had come into my space, which was super, super, super friendly, like my instant best friend friendly, which right on, I'm super friendly too. And fuck, I mean, Jana and I kind of were like, oh, there you are, spiritual besties, like right away. So that was different. This was because my gut was like, yes, there's my sister. This other situation, it kind of just fell off right away, but I didn't want to not be open. And my partner at the time was like, you're crazy. This person's whatever, nice, blah, blah. So I had agreed to do a space with them. And I did do the space with them. But then, like, right away after that, they kind of started like just tagging me in other things that we hadn't talked about, just like all of a sudden, as if we were hosting spaces that I hadn't said I would host or agree to. And I was like, yeah, right away messaged, I'm not very comfortable with that, and so I eventually like kind of got out of doing another space with them and left their Discord, and then they like, I don't know, honestly, I haven't seen the project go forward or them be around, or I don't know whatever happened to them. But yeah, like that sort of instant without establishing some rapport, I guess. And honestly, Lori Grace gave some really good direction on that when I very first came into the space. Because hey, I have a tendency to come in hot a little bit myself too sometimes. Like, hey, we should work together, and that overzealous excitement. But Lori Grace, in the very beginning, and I had the fortune of kind of stumbling into her spaces almost immediately when I landed in Planet Twitter, and she really was good about kind of guiding noobs, right, to say, hey, it's great that you want to reach out and be my friend, and it's great that you're in my DMs, but let's have some rapport first before you're asking me for a thing, or asking to benefit yourself in some way. How about we have some connection and rapport first, and then see how we can help each other grow, right? So yeah, that those my gut feeling was right, even though sometimes you just have to put that on the back burner and let things unfold, give folks a chance. But yeah, it didn't work out, and I haven't seen him around, so my gut was right. But that's one of those gut feelings turned correct.
Isn't it interesting how the intuition just knows? It's like, I don't even know how to put it. It's just so interesting. We just get these tingles within us, and it's like, something's funky here. Something isn't quite right. So yes, I feel like there have been so many times I disregarded that feeling and regretted it. It's kind of like my life story. Like if there was like a little summary of my life, it would be like Sierra disregards her intuition yet again and faces disaster and regrets it. Like it's ridiculous. So I totally feel that. I feel like as I get older and have more life experience and wisdom, I get better at listening to my body and my intuition. Yeah, absolutely a red flag when someone is just coming in too hot and not taking the time to like appropriately build the relationship in a meaningful way. It's not always, yeah, it's just not productive to come in someone's DMs with like an ask immediately when like you don't know them. I guess I don't know. I do understand shooting your shot, and it's like I'm a big fan of shooting your shot, but it's like a collaboration is kind of beyond shooting your shot. It's like it's like it requires them to acknowledge it and be willing and interested. And I feel like, a cold DM for a collab isn't always the best way to go about it. What I've noticed is like most most businesses, like if they're open to collabs or partnerships, will have a way that they want you to reach out about it, and they'll be clear about it, whether it's on their website or there's a specific email for it or whatever it may be. There's usually something that says like reach out, for marketing or advertising or partnerships or collaborations, and like that's the appropriate way to contact, not just to like the first person I can get a hold of, just, rapid fire them with all my questions. I mean, another red flag that comes to mind is just like someone not considering your needs as a part of the collaboration. Like a collaboration, not every collab is going to be a 50-50. It really depends on what the nature of the collab is. There might be some where it's more appropriate for one party to do more than the other. But if you feel like the other party is just not considering your input or your needs, and it just seems like there's not a mutual investment in it also benefiting you and not just them, that's also super important. I've been in collaborations where I felt like the other person, it was like a school project where like the one overzealous like student who was afraid to get a bad grade just like was trying to grab it and do everything. And it's just like, dude, like I'm here, like I can help. Like if you feel like the other person is kind of taking over the collaboration and it's not really reflecting what you were hoping to see as a part of it, it's like, yeah, that's kind of a red flag for me as well.
Right. It comes down to communication and it really is relationship, isn't it? I mean, and not everyone has, good team working skills, being a team player skill. And so I think when people get anxious or whatever, they're like, I'll just do it myself. And underutilize like all the talent and skill that surrounds them in opportunity of collaboration. So it helps to just have some good communication, yeah, for folks to, I don't know, more team building. I think what I'm getting is let's do more team building exercises out there all across the board. I think everyone could benefit from that. So we could all communicate and figure out how to work together better. Because truly, especially in this space, when we came into this space hot ourselves a year ago, it was wag me city everywhere, right? I haven't seen a wag me hashtag and I couldn't tell you how long, right? But the only way we will grow or succeed or build in any aspect really of success is through collaboration, and it does have to be meaningful. You have to be willing to, as you said early on, invest equal energy somehow, to take a moment, slow down a little, pay a lot of attention, and take the time to hammer out details where it's going to really have the most the best legs, right? The best chance to turn into something for both of you, whatever that might be.
You just mentioned communication, and a little alarm bell just went off in my head, and it was like, yes, like communication, like it is a pillar of meaningful collaborations. Like it requires effective and clear communication. Like it's impossible to have a good collab if you're not communicating clearly, and also like actively listening. Like a lot of us can communicate really well, but when it comes time, like I'm guilty of this to some extent. Like I will just zone out sometimes, and it's like, no, like I've been, especially with my yoga practice, it's so interesting as I get into all my pillars of yoga, it's been forcing me to become a better listener as well. And I've really picked up on my own tendencies to kind of just go off in my own little kind of mental, la la land, instead of like actively listening. And also like being a good problem solver. I feel like sometimes, there are people who kind of crack under pressure, and then there are people who get really creative and innovative under pressure. And I feel like a collaboration can sometimes not create problems, but it's like problems are normal and things come up. And, having good problem solving skills kind of helps smooth over any issues that may arise as you kind of come together and join things. So, yes, communication, absolutely. Oh my goodness, I'm looking at the time. We're like almost 45 minutes in. I do want to give the opportunity for speaker requests. So I want to make sure I don't forget to mention that. If anyone is listening, we're approaching like our last 15 minutes. And if you're listening and you're feeling like, hey, I want to be a part of the conversation and I have something to add, or I just want to say hello, you are more than welcome to request the mic and come on up. This is a safe space. If not, that's totally cool. There is no pressure, but I just want to let y'all know you're welcome. Oh, looks like we got one. 1 second. Welcome. How you doing, friend?
Hi. I just wanted to come up and say how much it warms my heart to hear you guys just say my name in such loving ways and speak about me. I mean, I feel like I walked in the room and you were just like, basically like, we love Jana. There she is. And it is very validating and very, very like, it just makes me feel so good, and truly collaborating with you guys on a consistent basis in this like really beautiful and meaningful way is like one of my favorite parts about being in Web3. So I just wanted to tell you both that I love you, and that is all.
Love you so, so very much, friend. I'm so glad you came up to say, hey, so glad you're here. Every time you come into a room or I happen to be in a room you're in, I light up. And so I'm so glad to be able to tell you those things that are in my heart. I mean it. And it's such a joy to have these connections. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of my friends IRL, some of my Web3 friends IRL, and I can't wait until the day I get to meet both of you ladies. It's going to be epic hugs for sure.
It's funny, I keep saying I feel as if I've met my Web3 friends already. Like, and I say it all the time. Abby, that thing that you were saying earlier about, just kind of meeting somebody in Web3 and being like, oh, I know you. You're from my last lifetime. That has happened so many beautiful times in this space. And it really is an intuitive, like, yes, like full body fuck yes, or like, meh. You know, if there's a meh there, trust the meh. But that sort of full body fuck yes is the kind of thing that I'm always, always seeking. And I'm so grateful that it has come my way in both of you, in Astro Baby, and in like so many other, you know, people in the space that just really make huge, huge, huge impact on my day to day and have gotten me through what arguably has been like one of the hardest years of my life. These sort of newer friendships have a depth to them and a connection that makes me often forget that we've never hugged before. And I have to like sometimes give myself a reality check. When I lost my phone, that was a really good reality check. I was like, did all of my friends disappear into the ether from which they came? Turns out you guys are still here. Thank God. Yeah, it definitely slips my mind often that I haven't yet, you know, scooped you guys all up and squeezed you, but tentacle hugs will come soon.
I heard that perhaps there could be an opportunity coming up in Miami, perhaps, or no.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna not go too deep into things, but there's been some recent news in the mainstream media that has me thinking that that is a very likely potential, that I might be able to get there for a weekend or potentially a little bit longer. I'm not sure, but hopefully y'all's country will get it together and then I can show up, show face, squeeze everybody, and then as I'm hugging everybody, you know, pop out again and maybe, you know, we'll see. I don't know, but it's in the works. Appreciate you dropping the alpha so much though, because we are working on it. We're working on all the different potential levels that need to be worked on to make it happen. So maybe.
I am super excited. We spent like so much time talking about digital collaborations and almost no time this last hour talking about in real life, you know, like pop-ups or, you know, activations and events and seminars and workshops and things of that nature. So I do feel like there's a whole another realm that we could spend time exploring. And I do feel like a lot of us spend months and months looking forward to these in real life opportunities to finally collaborate in the physical and not just in the metaverse. So I think we're all very excited about more of these opportunities to come, hopefully, many of them.
Just saying that we'll be back here in December. We're going home for a couple of weeks, but we'll be back here in Mexico in December. So like, just saying that Mexico is beautiful in like January, February. The weather it's Moshe's ideal weather. So it's like perfectly hot, but also cool in the evenings, a nice breeze, beautiful beach, and me. So, you know, make it happen.
Jana is Mexico's unofficial spokesperson. I have never heard someone speak so highly of everything Mexico, and I just love it. Not that there's any reason to not speak so highly, but like you really just you're amazing. Someone should give you some type of like affiliate sponsorship or something. You should be
Listen,
getting
I'll take some free flights and free accommodation. I'm into it. Let's go. Collabs with Mexico.
Yes, manifesting a collaboration with Mexico for you. That is too funny. This has been an awesome collaboration between all of us for this Twitter space today. I feel like what it really comes down to is a collaboration should create more value. A collaboration, the whole intent is that whatever comes out of the collab is greater, the sum is greater than the parts. So I encourage everyone who's thinking about doing a collab to really ponder on that. You know, like, it does this matter? Am I adding value, or do I just think I am? did I just make a graphic and convince myself that I am? Because otherwise you're just spinning your wheels and you're expending a lot of energy for no reason. So it's important to make sure that if you are going to make the effort and expend the time and energy to work with someone else, that you're creating something of substance for those who are going to consume it. I think I don't have too much else to add here. If we don't have any other speaker requests, we can start to wrap it up. You have anything you want to add as closing thoughts, Abby?
No, this has been such a lovely space. I'm so glad to have talked about. It's funny to me that we waited so long to have this conversation. What week are we on? This is 11, right? Week 11 of collaborating together on this space. So I'm so glad to talk more about it, and I always feel energized leaving spaces with you, and loved talking to you, Miss Jana. And I can't wait for next week.
Oh, me too. I'm super excited. I look forward to this every single week. I appreciate Jana coming up. Let me just look quickly because I'm forgetting what our next one is. I want to give everyone a little spoiler alert. Let me see. Okay, here we go. So our next one, next Wednesday, the 19th, persistence and patience. Ooh, this will be good. Balancing the two makes for success. I'm really excited about this. These are things that are near and dear to me. And I struggle with both at times. Sometimes I struggle with being persistent. Other times I struggle with being patient. And that is called being a human. So that's normal. And it's going to be a fantastic conversation. And then our next one is our Halloween party on the 29th, which is a Saturday. We're going to switch it up and do it a bit early. We might be having a costume contest and giving away an NFT to the best costume. We're thinking of more festivities to make it fun. If anyone has any ideas of what else we can do to make our Halloween party a good time, send them my way. But basically, it's just going to be a spooky good time, and I'm super excited for that one.
What if, I don't know if you guys are down for this, and I'm putting you on the spot because this is being recorded and it's your podcast, but what if I did readings for you guys on that day?
Ooh.
Yes, please.
I love that idea. That would be so fun. Yeah. I mean, is it something where it could be done in a time efficient manner for like multiple people to have one within an hour space? Or is it something where like one person would get it after the fact? Or am I thinking about it too hard?
Both. It's hard to do it all. I think what we could do is we could raffle, like you guys could do a giveaway for it and somebody would get a live reading, maybe two people if we had enough time. But you know, even a one or two or three card pull would take a minute usually. So I don't want to like, you know, hoard your space, but to be continued in DMs, I imagine, but I'm just throwing it out there as an option.
I think it's an awesome idea. I think it would be so much fun. And I really appreciate you offering, and you're not putting us on the spot at all. We're very grateful for your generosity.
I'm so down. I love it. I can't wait for spooky time. I think it's going to be so much fun, and I'm so excited. I would love that. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. To be continued.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, y'all. So this is episode 11. As you all know, we record them and we upload them to YouTube. So if you joined late, you can always go to our YouTube link in bio to listen back, or you can listen to the recording on Twitter. We will see you next week, next Wednesday evening. I do think this evening time is working out a bit better, which I'm happy about. Thank you so much for your energy and your attention and your presence this last hour. We really, really appreciate it. And we will see you next week for Mindful Business episode 12. Hope everyone has a nice evening, afternoon, morning, or night, whatever it is. And we'll see you next time. Bye.